right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We have tried one workflow last time, which was the parcel merging. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay.
Now we talked about that before, that when we merge a parcel and we get rid of that line in the middle, we have two data sets that are attached to those lines that say it's 65 and 65. Now those dimensions aren't going to change, correct? Because let's say it's 65 and 65, now it's going to be 130 is going to be that distance, but that underlying line is still going to have some kind of break in it? Or is there a new line created that's 130 feet long?
It's a good question. Cash?
Yeah, so if you create a new parcel, if you do the workflow where you create the new parcel, your new dimensions will show up. However, in the existing parcels, if you were to merge and use the existing parcels, whatever is in the attribute table is what will show up for what's, for your annotations. So even if, for instance, if you were to split the parcel, the old number would still show up in your annotations, the old distance.
But that text there is not smart text. That text is just annotation where you go in, and if you wanted to edit it, I could edit, make it whatever number I wanted, and delete the other one. Correct? That's what we do.
Let's take a look at the workflow for a second, and then we can discuss further, because I think that the annotation is feature-linked annotation, and it does change according to the underlying lines. So if you were to merge those lines, then that text would automatically adjust also. That's my understanding.
The difference between a lot merger, a lot consolidation, lot line adjustment, and a parcel map is there's no field survey associated with a merger, a consolidation, or a lot line adjustment. It's just all administrative. So if the two lines were 65 and 65, and then we create a new line, and then it becomes 130.05, it's not supposed to be 130.05. It's supposed to be the combination of the two. So we would have to go in and edit that, because we wouldn't want somebody to be confused that line was at one point in time surveyed to 130.05. It still is administratively 130 feet.
Okay, let's take a look at that. Yeah, I would like to maybe look at it in the example, and that might clarify things. There's two things here. One is the line itself, right? Actually, there's three things. One is the parcel polygon. The other one is the lines that are associated with those parcels. And then the third one is the annotation labels, or the text itself, right?
Yeah. So we have lines, points, and we have polygons. And so we have on that, let's just say that line fronting the street, we have two lines and a point in the middle of those. And then when we join that, we end up with one line with hypothetically no point in our merged line.
Right.
And then the polygon is no longer a polygon. On that frontage on that street is no longer two pieces of a line, it's one line. And we would want to be able to force that to be a certain distance if it happens to be longer than what it's supposed to be, or shorter than it's supposed to.
Yeah, I think so. So now I understand what you're saying. Let's actually Cash, follow through this process of merging ones, and we talk through what's going on in that process. Okay.
Sure. Is that okay if I close the transport?
Yes, you can close it. And actually, Doug, if you already, you can save it. Say yes. So I guess my question is, Doug, would you want to share your screen, and you have the example in front of you already?
An example of a lot merger. I can pull up a lot merger. or lot
Okay.
consolidation or something of that.
Okay. So we'll switch you to be the presenter first. Okay.
The presenter options for Doug.
Yeah, we're making Doug the presenter.
So the city of Riverside doesn't necessarily show, this is the line that we're getting rid of right here in between 19 and 20. And so this dimension here is just a record dimension of 168, 74, 7090, and 11308. And so we would want to, when we got rid of this line here, it would be some distance here and some distance here. And it would just be, those are record distances, and we would just add those two record distances together. So if this distance in the real world was 114, we wouldn't discuss that because no field survey has changed that. So
Correct.
if it was feature linked and it said 114, we would want to force that to be some bearing that we have of record and some distance we have of record.
Yeah.
Right.
That's my only concern.
Yeah, from the actual survey plan. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the difference between a parcel map, a tract map, and some administrative process like a lot line adjustment, lot consolidation. So I just wanted to make sure that we had the ability to at least force that to be a certain bearing, a certain distance from record.
Right.
Yeah.
And so can we try that right now on your computer with ArcMap? And you can open up the last one that you had.
That would probably be, no, that's not.
Is everyone having a good week so far?
So far, so good.
Awesome.
Is it still thinking, or do I need to? There we go.
Mm-hmm. Would you know how to get to that parcel? Navigate to that?
It doesn't necessarily have to be that parcel. If it's something just as similar as this along out in the green belt.
Sure. Zoom closer, please. Wow, the text is so small.
These are huge lots. I could probably find.
Yeah, if you can.
Those are like 5-acre lots.
I mean, there's a way to make the annotation slightly bigger, even at that location. I can show that trick to you.
Something like, this is a perfect example right here, where these are an original old map that are 66 feet. And from that map, nothing has changed. So this distance.
It would be 66 plus 66 when they merge.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what we'd want to see. And
okay, so let's do a merge and follow through and see what needs to change and where.
Let's see. It looks like we're missing our parcel editor toolbar. So we'll need to go and navigate.
in my editor, I got my editor up over here.
Yeah,
We'll
go down
to
to the bottom.
parcel editor.
Up.
Yeah, there we go.
And my version.
Actually, I think you're not in the STE dataset or your enterprise geodatabase. Because look up there on the layers, see the source. It says it's on the M drive.
So it's
So
local,
this, yeah,
Or-
this is not your MXD document. Let's go and open up the correct document, MXD map document that we sent, that you got it from. I think it was on your C drive project somewhere.
CGIS, right?
Mhm.
C1 GIS Cadastral. Can I just drag and drop that directly onto?
You can double click the MXD once you find it. The version,
4?
I don't know which one's the latest one. Sort.
Version 4 is 11.10.
Okay, I think that's it probably. Why does it say my name on the top? Huh? Interesting. Okay, could you close this maybe and then open the other MXD?
Close this.
Uh-huh.
No. And open
Open the one that says repair links. Repair links. Yeah.
links.
That one, please. You don't need. I mean, we did. Yeah, we don't want to change that. But the repair links are. The repair links is for repairing links. I think the next one would have been the fixed one. The one that just says fixed. So you can open that one and then close the repair
Can
links.
Okay. If I start to open the second one, or should I wait till this one opens?
No, if the fixed one opens, you're good. You can close the other one whenever it opens. Right, this says fixed, right? And now you can change the version to, you want to create a new version, okay?
Protected.
And you can say switch to the new version.
Am I worried about any not being? All right. What do I want to turn on here to get my base going?
Okay, can you zoom out in a little bit, maybe? A tad bit.
Annexation, city limits, cadastral topology. I just need some.
Can you go to the first tab on the top by table of contents? Table of contents, and then the list by drawing order. Can you press that one? Okay. Let's see if your street, the other, you can turn on the cadastral reference at the bottom if you would like to. Okay. So that kind of gives you a context of where you are. The bookmarks, can you go to bookmarks and see if there's a bookmark up there? All the way in the bookmarks menu. Up, yeah. Citywide. Okay. Okay, keep zooming. And you can turn off the reference layers right now because it's too much of a clutter. Cadastral reference at the bottom. Group cadastral reference. Okay. Okay. Zoom to any location. Maybe one more level. Zooming in. Okay, so here's where you'll find everything there, right? You see the 65 and 65. And okay, so this seems like a good example if you wanted to start.
Yes. These points going north like here, that's a tile boundary. So those aren't necessarily points that need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
That's an old tile boundary where the old system broke it on the tile boundary.
Right.
So if I wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I just wanted to check something before
Sure.
we did. What I want to see is, and I'll request you for keyboard and mouse. What I want to see is if this text here, right? This text is parcel dimensions, and they are related to the lines. Okay, but right now they aren't. You know, remember how we said object ID and feature ID linking. But if you went to this line itself, that number I'm looking for, which field contains that number 65, and it's the distance field. So I believe when you merge them, I don't remember if it was the record distance or the distance field. So in any case, which field would you update? Would you update distance and record distance, or just the?
Well, the actual distance between the 2 points is going to be some number, and it's either going to be plus or minus 65 hundredths, or usually somewhere less than a tenth in our city system, especially in this area. So when we came in here and merged those two, we would want that distance, the new distance that we show, because we're going to annotate this merger as lot line adjustment LL-P20-1000, and it's going to go there. So we're going to know it's a lot line adjustment, and we're going to know that 130 feet was never surveyed, and that we just got that when those parcels got merged, it just became something that we did in the office, that the surveyor did in his office, and we just changed our system in here. And so we know that it was never field surveyor. So we shouldn't get a dimension, not very often, where something's an odd feet. But if you look across the street, there's 6875. So, you know, you're going to have record distances that are not to the even foot.
Okay. But, so like, I'm just trying
the actual dimension, like, yeah, so it's only missing by 1,000th of an inch, or
okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and start the merge now, and then we'll follow through. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead, start your editing. When the dialog box shows up, and what it is telling you is that these are the layers that cannot be edited, and those happen to be, I think, all of those reference layers, correct?
Base map, control point, map book, parcel history. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can say continue. And yes, so go ahead. Cache.
Yeah, so you'll just want to grab the parcel editor chip there, the selection tool on the, yeah, that one. And then just select your, whatever you want to merge, if you want to merge the parcels. And then hold shift down to select the second parcel.
Why do we, is that because we're associated to centerline that we have highlighted centerline?
So because you clicked on something with the center line on it, right? So that's why, in the sense that you have a polygon underneath. So if you press that, there's something that popped up on your screen. And if you press that down, you can see what all got selected, right? So you can say these are the things that you want to,
Yeah.
select
So
versus the others. Mm-hmm.
most likely the only thing that I'm going to be merging is the mapbook 2520. Those are what those two parcels should be in.
Okay, okay. So right click on the others, right click on the tracked map down there.
Right below track map. There you go. Right there below the track map. Yeah. And then right click.
I want to keep 2520, so I want to.
Right.
So now I check that box, or do I?
It's not really checkbox. It's just the symbology. Let's see. The best way for you to fix this is because when you select, you get multiple things coming up, right?
Yep.
So go to your selection in the table of contents. So on the left side in table of contents, go straight up there. There is a selection tab all the way 1, 2, 3, the next. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you press that there, and then you can, in the track map category, just click on the clear polygon on the right side there, which is here, this one. Yeah, and that removes it from the selection. Now here, any of these that you need to remove from merging, give a right click and then say remove from selection.
See,
And
these are the APN numbers, and so those are going to be merged with this 2025. So, and the underlying map book 3.2 San Bernardino and 11.20.21 San Bernardino, that's the underlying map. So it's basically going to be this, and this are the three things that are going to be modified.
Okay, so let's remove. So this one is not in play, right? Right now.
Not in play.
You don't need to merge this one.
No.
Okay, so we can. Let me see. You can open up the attribute tables and then select the ones from there.
There you go.
So you have track map, these 3 track maps. We want to remove them, right? You want to merge the text parcels.
The top, we want to remove the top 3. So 104525, that top track map is probably going to be the track map that those 2 lots came from.
Okay.
But is that track map just the outside boundary of that track map?
Correct. Yeah. So the track map that's the subdivision boundary.
See, this is what we were talking about last time. Is that these 2 APN numbers are less important to us than those parcels being two lots of this tract map.
I see. Okay.
So they're legally described as lot such and lot such and such of map book 2520. These things right here, these two numbers here, are just for the tax purpose. That's for the assessor. So more importantly than them being called 235043031, which is metadata that's associated with that lot, is that it's lot 10 and lot 11 of map book 2526 or 2520.
I gotcha. So from a geometry perspective, the geometries that you are trying to merge are actually the tax parcels, as long as they're tied to that subdivision boundary, the MB 2520, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. But
okay.
as far as what it legally is, that tax parcels are solely for the tax guy. They don't have necessarily anything to do. So we might have to modify how the naming standard is, because in many cases we not in many, but in some cases we're going to run into situations where one of those polygons has 3 or 4 tax IDs, or we can have
20 or 30,
or we can have multiple lots with one tax ID. So the default most likely shouldn't be that those are called tax parcels. But
I see.
for what we're doing today, we're trying to merge those two, but somewhere in this, it's more important that those are called the lots of this subdivision than they are as far as tax parcels.
Yeah, so
that comes from your spatial relationship, I believe, because they are within that, those parcels are within that tract. And I don't know if there are more parcels in that MB 25/20.
There should be. So when you do a tract map, you're going to map book 2520 is going to have, let's just say, 50 lots in it, and they create that this outside boundary that is called map book 2520 is the outer limits of this tract map, and everything that was inside those limits was created by that tract map. And then after that map records, it goes to the tax guy, and the tax guy comes up with these numbers. And so more importantly than
spatially, we know that those two parcels are within that tract, so that relationship does exist, right?
And that needs to exist, yes.
Yeah. So let's unselect everything for a moment, okay? And you needed to select this and this one over here, these two, right? So when you click here, it obviously shows a lot of these, and you can make sure that, okay, you see so many and you pick the right one that you need to. So let's say you want this parcel here, okay? And then you say, you're holding the shift key and then you press the next one. But when you press the next one, just go and make sure, because you have so many different things, because they are like, you have the tracts also as a separate polygon there, and then including like even the page and everything. So you go and make sure that you select this one. Does these two are tax parcels? Yes, but they are on the tract, right? So that's how they've been categorized. They're on the top of the tract polygon, and we know that they belong to that tract in that way. Okay. Other than that, if there is any other way to define them, we can check. We'll definitely look at the database design and see if there's any other way it's been defined. But basically, right now, this is how they've been defined spatially. Right underneath these two is the is the tract. Okay. So is this okay that you can merge these two? Is that something that we can do right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Cash, did you want to go ahead, lead us with the instructions?
Sure. Yeah, so if you just want to go ahead and right click and merge like last time, and make sure we can actually merge. Go to the top merge. Yeah, there you go. And here you can change the plan, and if you have a new plan that you created for the merge, if you didn't create a new plan, you can create a plan here and just call it merge and set that as the active plan. And then, yeah, if you wanted to enter any other attributes, but for this purpose, for just demonstration purposes, we should be good. You set that as the active plan, and you can choose one of those parcels to preserve the attributes from, or you can give it a new name. Nice. And then we can just say okay. Now,
parent parcels. No, we don't want to do that because that's going to be our historic, right?
Exactly. We don't want to do that. And I tend to, when I do a merge, I like to take the most current record, and because in most cases, especially with survey plans, right, the attributes or the legal descriptions will more of them will match from the most current plan in a lot of cases. So where it says 32, I would preserve the attributes from 32 for this merge. So the parcel, tax parcel ending in 32, I would check that one to preserve the attributes from, because it could save you a lot of data entry and, you know, attributing and things like that. Whereas 31 might have older data. So you would just select that. Yeah, you would just select the 32.
Now, what do you mean? What are we going to lose?
So they both have their own unique set of attributes. Really, you're not going to lose anything. You're just going, this new parcel A, this new merge is going to inherit the attributes and from parcel 32, which is more likely to have more current information in it, right? Such as like book and page, surveyor.
These two lots, not necessarily, but these two lots were created at the same time.
Okay, so in this case, it doesn't matter. Okay, great. That's good to know. Yeah. Perfect. And then here's the attributes that you can update if you have that information. Your symbol ID right there, you can update, drop that down and look at what choices you have next to symbol ID. Okay, so no drop downs there. Scroll down some more. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, so these are just like the defaults.
Yeah, the attributes that show up, we asked to show you know, all of the attributes as soon as it opens up, not just the parcel, but I mean, we can say if you don't want to look at all the, because that's the labels, the text attributes. Okay, so if you don't want to see them, we can turn them off. And in case you need to access them, they can be opened up separately. Okay, if you say okay now, and then you can go to your attributes listing again. So this kind of completes, and you see those two historic parcels in the back end there. The other thing you also notice is that the text comes up and it's overlapping right now. So for the new parcel, and it's the lines kind of like got updated in some sense, and that's why you see all of the text coming up over there. Okay, so this is a point where we were trying to see what's the you know, thing that we need to do over here in order to make it correct.
See now, so we need to clean this up, because this is what I was saying earlier, is that we have a line that no longer exists because that tile boundary has been taken out because of the new system. So there's a point right here that's not making this 102 feet long, that's making it 70 and change, and so we're getting something there. So we need to get this back to 102. We need to make this 130, get this back to 102, and get this distance on this side of this line to 130. 30. So this is where we're going to get into the cleanup. Both of these APNs need to go away, and we need to put a new APN on this as a -9. And we would probably, at that point in time, we'd probably leave the addresses because, or we might get rid of one of the addresses after we talk to our building and safety guys. So right now we would be in the stages of doing the cleanup.
Correct. So what you can do is go to the down there, you see the attributes of the parcel itself, right? So if you keep scrolling to the right somewhere, you'll find the APN field, and you can make that -9. There, that's you just right there. Yeah. So change that to -9, and I think you would do the lot the same with the lot, right? The SSR lot. Okay, so those are the two things. Anything else that needs to be changed will be, I mean, you can change that information, right? So the other thing that happens is that, and you see that that number showed up automatically there, -9, right?
Yeah.
The other two annotations, 31 and 32, can get cleaned up, like you can go and delete them, select and delete them.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if you go and open the attribute table in the standard editor up there, if you open the attribute table there, it's a little bit easier than this table down here. So if you go up to where it says editor and then scroll to the right, you should see a little piece of paper looking symbol to the right of editor.
Down there in the editor menu.
Down one.
Yeah.
Right, keep going to the right, keep going, you're almost there. There it is, yeah, that's the one. So that's where you'll open up the attribute table, and then here it's just a lot easier to navigate with your attribute fields and make those changes.
Yeah, you can close the catalog to save some space.
And then the one below as well, if you want to close the table on the bottom, just to sort of, yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt, Rita. Sorry about that.
No problem. No problem. That's I believe the attributes table is the best. Not the attribute table down here, but the attributes tool on the right side is the best way to actually edit your attributes.
Would there be a way to take that 31 and 32 and move those to some overwritten APN label layer?
You don't have a layer for that right now, in the sense that you only have the lot number text, right? You don't have a historic lot number text, but you could create that if you wanted to, and that would be more
but that's
like
going to stay with those two underlying parcels as historic, and it may not show, but it's still going to be part of the metadata for those two parcels we combined, correct?
You can make them historic, and yeah, you can either move them to a new layer, or you can somehow work with it in the same layer that they are currently right now.
We don't want to see them up there now, but if underneath this new parcel with the historic two parcels that we created, if it some way to get to that information and say, okay, this is now per this lot line adjustment as we annotated, and we're probably, what we would write is LL-P20-1000 right across here, then we would know this was done by a lot line adjustment. And so if we could get to the underlying parcels and click on the metadata for those two, then that would be ideal. It doesn't necessarily have to show up.
It does. Okay, I'll show you this one. Since I have the mouse control, I'm going to show you something. If you can at any point of time identify, and then you can say, okay, identify for me here, right? And then in that identification, you will see a lot of these things, and it says topmost, but you can say visible layers and click here. Okay, so all of your parcels are in that layer, and then you have these newly created tax parcels there. You have the tract map there. And then you have the historic parcels. So in the historic parcels, everything that was on that parcel before you merged it, it's all there.
Okay.
all of the information. So that's how you can get to the historic parcels. Okay, and
Yep.
it doesn't, and you will not see these numbers because once you clean up, these numbers are gone
They're gonna go away.
on the map, but you will have this new number that shows up.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can always click here and then get to it. Okay.
Okay.
Now, the way this thing is structured is that you have all of your parcels over here in the parcel fabric, every one of them. This is called parcels technically. That's the name of the layer, I would say, right? But in reality, it's got every single thing in it. It has your tracts. It's just a polygon of everything, right? It's got your tracts. It's got the center line, and everything. Let me show you the source. It's the parcel fabric parcels, but it's got everything in it. And then what we did was, okay, this is everything in it. That's why we show them light gray. And down here, we created groups, taking the same layer, but we broke it down into city-owned, tax parcels, tract map, so that you see the tract maps in a thicker boundary, yellow boundary here, and the right-of-way center line in that other color over here. So like that. So you see them like twice, but it's just for showing things better. If we didn't have this, then it would be confusing. I mean, we could probably go and make these different colors too, but it's going to be a little bit confusing. Okay, so that's why we came up with this. And historic parcels, it can be anything that's historic, but it gets over here once it's created. Okay. So cleanup wise, we didn't actually come to these layers yet, right? We just did the parcel. The other things you would do is you can click on this A button and then come and click on this text here, and you can hold the shift key and press on this text. As I keep selecting, as you see how it comes up over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are no longer relevant. Normally, if the feature linking was done correctly, they would have disappeared. But because it wasn't, like the object ID and the feature ID link of these is not in place properly, they kind of seem to be like that. So what we can do is give a right click and delete these.
Right click and delete works, but what if I would have just hit delete, would have it done the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you have to be careful. I mean, I just want to make sure that you always have only the ones that, that they show up in the attributes, whatever you select. So make sure that you only have the ones that you want to delete.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So that's the cleanup for that. Now the remaining things, all these lines and everything, right?
Yep.
A couple of things. Let me close this one and let us zoom closer in this area. And so that we can see which lines. So you said that this 70.104, right,
Mm-hmm.
is probably not the right one. And I will also show you one more tool to use for annotations. This one, and you can also use this one. And for that, you can say there's a new text over here, new piece of text. Just select and move. And then click outside and it's gone again. The question is, this was supposed to be 102 feet, right, altogether,
Yep.
but it's only 70 point something.
It's going to that little spot right there because, like I said, that's the tile boundary, and when the data was converted, it kept these as two pieces. This is supposed to be one piece, and what I would like to do is merge that into one piece.
Okay, so that's where you can do it. You can merge it into one piece. You want to select them, right?
Yeah. So I would. No.
Okay, let me because this tool will allow you only to select text, but
Okay.
you go back to this tool.
Divide by editor tool.
Right, and then when you make a selection here, okay, And you see a bunch of things getting selected again. So here what I would do is maybe I will say no parcels need to be selected, none of these. You have the parcel dimension there.
Is the dimension attached to the parcel, or is the dimension attached to the line under the parcel?
This is attached to the line under the parcel, and I can show you in a minute. So if you keep pressing this, and then you go here, it's like a drill down. This is a
Yeah.
text, right? So you can drill down to the feature, and you see it's flashing the feature that it is connected to. Okay. So you want to then merge those two lines. That's what you want to do. But you
Yep.
have a lot of lines here. You just want to make sure. I think one line for each side of the parcel is what happened here.
Yeah, so you're going to have a line for the 3045, and you're going to have a line for 3003 or 303.
Right.
And so cleaning up both of them is fine. That point needs to go away for the parcel to the south also.
Yeah, yeah. But
As we're going through and we're cleaning up something, it's not something that we would go through and have and start. And this, obviously, the same thing is happening on the back line also.
right,
So
right.
Yeah.
So we would clean these up as we run into situations where if we're in an area and we're just going to try and clean stuff up. Before we did any kind of mergers, I would just come through and before I close this tile, I would merge the ones that I wanted and merge the adjacent ones just to finish some cleanup as I was editing.
Right. Yeah, I think you will have quite a bit of these.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna have
right.
Yeah, it's gonna be all over the place.
Right. Cash, what is the
Yeah.
recommended practice here? I think I'll turn off, let's say I'll remove these parcel dimensions, I mean, unselect these from right now, right? There's a point there, which is like the parcel point, parcel fabric point, right? And then there's all of these lines. So what's the recommended practice that you have, like, for us to, merge them? How can we merge them?
So if you want to merge the lines, you can just select the lines that you want to merge. So hold down Shift on more than one line, not the points, but the lines.
Okay,
Okay.
so let me remove all of these other lines from here. Unselect. Okay, so those two lines are there, right? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Shift.
Hold Shift down and select the line below as well in the attribute table.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so those are both right click. Okay,
I
so
mean,
those are only select this.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to take keyboard and mouse or?
Sure.
Okay. I think you can request keyboard and mouse from Doug.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Keyboard and mouse. Okay, coming to you, Doug.
Yep, there you go. So I get both those highlighted, shift highlight, and I got my two lines.
Yep, and then of course underneath is all of this data. See, normally the lines would be by themselves. We would just want to select the lines only by themselves, and then merge just those lines. Right here, if we were to merge all of this together, you could come over here and do a merge, but the way that the data is set up, the schema, this is a good question here because
What are we going to underline influence?
Are you going to be using the merge courses, the parcel courses there, or I mean?
You could do that, but the way that the model's set up, it's not recommended.
Would it change if we included this parcel to the south and picked all four of those lines and merged that? Would that assist, because that's in essence what I would like to do. Because there's this house, this one down here also has those 2 points, and this one of here. So if the points here, there's 2 pieces here for this lot, and there's 2 pieces here for this lot. So
Yeah.
I would like, if that helps, then we can do a merge on all of that at the same time, or these 4 at the same time and these 4 at the same time. But I don't know how that's going to influence some, like you said, all that other data that's underneath that as we drill down.
Yeah. This is a great question. I'm going to make note of this, and this is something I think we need to definitely revisit and circle back with a workflow for this, because it's definitely a solution that you need. It's going to save you a ton of time.
It's as far as that point being there, it's not critical, but we're going to run into wanting to fix that, because right the next step in this process would be that would be our cleanup, saying, okay, we got these points in here, so we'll just go through and clean that up, and then we would take all these extra dimensions and just delete them, and then we'd have a 102, a 130, and a 130, and a 102 on the inside of the parcel that we just created, so that we would know that that's the dimension for this.
I see.
You know what I mean? And then we would put an annotation, drop an annotation there with the point label, if that's how we're doing lot line adjustments. However, lot line adjustments are displayed in coming from Soma's little deal. That the next step after that, after we got this dimension, we drop in a point and then label it so that when somebody came along and clicked on that point, then it would go to the Laserfiche and pull up the document for them. And that would be the end of the process.
You could try to merge the courses, but it's, in a lot of cases it doesn't help. I mean, the way that the structure of the schema of the database here is set up, it's it doesn't work always. So I haven't officially seen it work yet, but I see exactly what you're needing.
And what I assume is happening is when we make a merge, we have the minutest of angle points at that point there. So this line's coming in at a slightly different bearing, and it may not even be noticeable. And so when you create that line, you create the smallest little sliver here, and then the system's not going to like that.
Exactly.
And so would the merge, because prior to us doing this merge, we had basically 2 parcels that were in the fabric. Would we clean that up before we did the merge? Maybe that would solve the solution.
That might be a
because then we will that line that separates this line that separates these 2 parcels is now clean, and there is no possibility for error because it goes from this point to this point. And then when you come in, you're not going to create a sliver where this southerly parcel is going to have to be where we don't have a gap.
Yeah,
right now we okay, go ahead. Sorry, Cash.
Oh no, I was just saying, with merging lines, there is a workflow for that, but it's outside of this data model. It's not really in line with the schema, so we do need to come up with something custom for this, so that you can, replicate your workflow.
And that's what I was talking about when we first started this process. Is with the new parcel for the front from this point here to this point here, that is with the new parcel we created, is that 1 line or is that 2 segments?
It should be one. The merge should create one new segment. It's going to merge the 2, and it should be one segment at that point.
If that's the case, then why do we have these 2? Why do we have 2 distances here?
So there's 2 things here. One is that you have the parcel fabric tools themselves, which if you had adopted the LGIM, that's one way of doing it, right? The other way is that you have these parcel editor tools, which you can work with. And then after you merge these two parcels, then you have to go and merge those two lines. That's what I am finding. And Cash, do you have an example of just the parcel fabric with LGIM somewhere available right now for us to, take a look at?
Enabled, I do not at this very second, no, but
Okay. So maybe we can show that to you the next, in our next meeting. But in
yeah.
this
Okay.
one, what we would like to say is, the moment you made a change to that line, see, the whole parcel kind of got recorded as a historic parcel right now, because that's why you have that big, yellow hash going around, right? So
Yeah.
it's just that these kind of changes, I think, that little segments that got created, they need to be handled before you start your editing really in production.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and so as like something like this point here, we haven't done anything. Would merging these two?
You
Are
did
you
the
looking?
merge courses, right? Just now.
Yeah, if we were just going to merge this line,
Uh-huh.
see that's got one solid piece, but that one solid piece is the parcel in the parcel fabric, right?
Parcel, correct. That's the parcel polygon, correct.
So it's the underlying segment that has. So when the parcel fabric was created, it created a polygon that does not have an angle point, does not have a point on it, but the underlying line underneath, it's almost as if we want to turn off the parcel fabric. But if we turn off the parcel fabric, then make this adjustment, then I don't know how that affects the parcel fabric above it, because like you said, if we're creating some kind of small little sliver of a gap there, then we're going to have some kind of error in our data, I would assume.
Yeah,
Harita,
but those, sorry, go ahead.
can I just ask something, I guess, since we're on this topic?
Yeah.
And in the workflow that you guys have created for us to do this merger, would it be more efficient than for us to delete, let's say, the two lines that are not in the fabric and then start the merger?
You
so
can't
that it
delete
could,
those lines because those lines are, the fabric is on top of those lines.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Well, I'm not deleting the fabric. I'm deleting the actual lines, and then because the fabric's on top of that, and the fabric has a polygon, right? So would it be easier to merge the polygon in the fabric?
I don't. And from my understanding is those lines underneath the fabric are what the fabric rests on, and they need to be there.
So they're all connected. Yeah, the lines, the points, and the polygons are all connected together in the fabric as one network of data.
Lines
So
and polygons. Okay.
yeah. So if we deleted those lines, the topology would throw errors.
Correct.
And so you would have errors in the topology, and it would sort of throw the whole database off a little bit. And then I don't. That was a good suggestion, but I don't know if that would actually work out the way the data schema is set up in the database. Yeah.
Right. And I also want to add that this is not uncommon, because people have errors in their data all the time, like the one that you were showing us, this specific location where you have these tile boundaries, right?
Okay.
Oh, there
we
it is.
lost you
We
for a
lost
second.
everybody for a second.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we're
Now
all good now. We're back.
Okay, great. So there are times when a lot of people have that issue that comes up. It may be here, or maybe at a cul-de-sac you have 2 points or 3 or 4 points, like merging onto the single center point. There could be any number of like different ways that this could happen. These kind of errors would happen, and so for that, the option that ArcGIS gives you is to merge the courses. And then you can do your merge of the parcels. Okay, but let us document this process for you clearly. The other thing was, if LGIM workflows were used, things could be a little bit more like automated, I would say. But since that's not the case, we'll at least document this for you as to, okay, you merge the courses and then you do it. I would like to see another case, or even over here, like you see these two, for example, right? So it kind of happens to be the same, but you see the distances right now, you see 44 there instead of 65, and then you have this one's showing 65 and 65 for both, but in reality, when it's supposed to be, I think 65 plus 65, right, for these two together.
Yeah, and then coming from this point here, there may be a tile boundary coming this way.
Oh,
because
okay.
they're huge rectangles. So there's a possibility that this is getting split by another tile boundary. I don't know if that's the case because I don't see any other points, but there may be a tile boundary coming out this way. Let me zoom out real fast. That would be coming somewhere into here. So I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
The reason that we didn't use the LG was because we're not necessarily sectionalized in a lot of city Riverside. We've been mapped over for so long.
Right. I mean that's okay. It's just that if that process may handle two things together, and we'll find the piece that's, merging the courses over here, and then go from there. I think we'll give you the piece that will tell you, okay, how to handle these lines also, and then go from there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, obviously
Okay.
we would like to, as the end game, be able to fix this. So as we look into seeing how we can fix this, but it is not a game stopper. What we do want to do is we want to be able to get rid of that data and clean up our stuff.
Yeah.
So, Haritha, let's say if the workflow is modified so that, let's say we clean up the line work first, then we merge, and then let's say we get totals that are all cleaned up, then what would be, can you show us how to label the lot merger cases, like what we typically do, where a point will fall so that we can actually retrieve the document?
Yeah, let me show you one thing here. Right now we just did this merge, right? Merge courses on this one. 1, 2. Wait, sorry, I'm just trying to see where have these courses been merged or not. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Not sure. They didn't get merged, right? Okay. As soon as you merge the courses, right? This text is actually coming from these lines. That one doesn't have a parcel dimension. I'm just trying to figure out which one actually has a parcel dimension associated, and that one does. So as soon as a change was made to the parcel, that new text came in, that 70 point something, right? If this were so where is this 70 point something coming from? This text, right? It's coming from the distance here. Okay.
Yeah.
And this distance, I don't think we nobody has typed this in over here, because even the shape length is different. So as long as this distance will be the same as that, then you can it will reflect. So if the distance went to like 102, then you can say that this text will automatically be updated to be that one. Okay. The other option is to change the text itself. You can go to the parcel dimensions and then just change it, which won't be right, but you can always change it over here. I know sometimes you put some other text there like R equals and those kind of things, so it's kind of equivalent to that. So you can say 102, and
That's fine.
it's still linked to that data, so that's how you
Right.
get this, right? The key thing is right now, okay, get these two courses merged, and then it should work. Now this annotation, you don't need it
No,
right
so
now. You can say delete it, You can remove this one because this one doesn't get updated, with anything right now. So you can delete this one too.
If you wanted to copy, let's say I wanted to copy that 102 and make a copy of it and drop it on the other side of that line, how would I do that, or is that possible?
Oh, this side also got the annotation, right? This one
No, just
doesn't have,
the one that's highlighted right here. Can I copy that text?
Yes, so you can always say edit and then copy, and then you can say edit and then paste. And then it will ask you which layer to place it in. So just be careful and then go and pick up the right layer for yourself.
Okay, perfect.
And then say okay. But again, with feature linked annotations, you have to be careful because yes, it did create the new annotation, right? You're going to move that over to here somewhere, for example. And it's thinking a minute.
It's right. See, I would just drop that on the south, right below where it is right now.
Okay. Oh yeah, here. So what it's doing is it's following your feature.
Line, yeah.
I'm not able to move it because it's following your feature. So you can give a right click and then you can say, because it thinks that it got created from here. So that feature ID, remember, if you go to the attributes, there's something called feature ID here. So it's still linked to the other line down here.
Got it. Yeah. So it's not,
right? So
doesn't necessarily want to.
Yeah, you can actually go and say, okay, is this the line that you wanted to link to, right? That line up there, right? So that line's
just on the other side of the 102 that's there, just south of the 102 on that line that we're working
on. You mean here?
Nope. Right where the 102 was that you copied it from, just below that.
Oh, here.
Right.
Parallel?
Right. Just right here.
Right. Oh, okay. Okay, on the south side.
So
okay.
So that we know that when we created this new parcel, it stayed the same as 102, and then the other side's 102 also.
Okay. So let me show you. Yeah.
So nobody is confused that when we created this parcel that we changed any distances from the front to back. They're exactly the same.
Right. It's just that the linking can be always fixed, but you can remove the follow feature mode, right? Uncheck that, and then just bring it, and it will move freely wherever you want to place it.
Perfect.
Okay. So there's something called follow feature for feature linked annotations. It will try to follow the feature that it's based off of.
Yeah,
and,
that makes sense.
And you can then either link it to the other line down here, or you can leave it with whatever line it's currently with. But just remember, if this line changes again, this text will get updated, these texts. So that's feature linked annotations. That's the way they work. Okay. So text-wise, you can show. I think text-wise, it's all under, like, we know that there is something called the distance field that it's based upon on the lines. The only thing that we need to make sure is that merge parcel courses is the tool that's being used for those lines segments to be merged and everything. But we will give you clear documentation on how that works and where you need to do it before or after merging your parcels. Cash, do you agree?
I agree, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll address that.
So should we move on to the next workflow? Because merging was the first workflow that we had, right? So
we should drop that text on there so that we can put the lot line LL-P 20-1000 so that we can link that to the Laserfish, because that's the final step in our process once we.
Yeah, you can. Let me ask you a question. Do you have an example of the text around here, like somewhere around here right now?
Yes. Can you guys scroll to okay, go to an intersection and go Riverside and. I'm looking at an intersection right now. 1 second. It says Riverside and. Elizabeth.
Okay. what we will do is we'll make a bookmark here so that we can come back. Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
Or you can give whatever name, but I'll just give it right now like this. Okay.
That's fine.
So then let's go, and you probably should have known by now how to navigate. So would you like to go there? Use the finder, the magnifying, not the magnifying, sorry, the binoculars on your toolbar. Yeah. And then type in the
Type in Riverside and Elizabeth, Doug.
at locations. Locations. Yeah.
Like this or comma?
Yeah, you can do ampersand like the and symbol.
Riverside and which one?
Elizabeth. Check.
Okay. So right click there and right click. No, you already found it. So right click on that result. And then you can say zoom to. Okay. You are there.
Right. So zoom into that corner, Doug, the northwest corner of that intersection. Okay, you see that LL-P19-0315? That's what we want to label it. That's like the last label that we put on the merger, and
Right.
that is what gets hyperlinked to that document.
Right. So I would kind of think that the reason why I wanted you to zoom here is to see that's
Legal
your
document
legal
label.
document label. Okay.
Okay.
So there is actually this thing over here, the legal document point. The legal document label is linked to the legal document point. So you have to create this legal document point over there and then give it what would it be? Give the document number there. As soon as you give your document number there, then your legal document label will show up automatically. Okay, so let's try doing that. Okay, so bookmarks and the last one, yes, and then go create your legal document point.
Can I close out of this box?
Yeah, you can close that. And then on the create feature templates, there is something called create for. So for parcel editing, you use one menu, but for the rest of the other layers, this is this one here, create features. Okay,
Create features.
press
Okay.
that, and then you keep scrolling down and pick one of those legal document points. Which one would it be? Oh, you scrolled.
Right
the
there.
the briefcases. Yeah. So lot line adjustment, yes. No, just click that. That means you selected your template, right? You selected it, and now get on the screen, and wherever you want to place the briefcase at, you can place it. And this comes up if it's not easy for you to, like, you know, yeah, you can do that. Yeah. And then at the document number, okay, go ahead and fill that. You can also copy and paste it in the document number, because document number is what I saw was the same. But if, okay, yeah, see, that's a digit, that's a numeric field. That's why, but paste it in the other one. Okay, and say okay.
And we can put any kind of comments we want. What else? Symbol rotation.
Symbol
How about the
rotation
subtype?
is the subtype. The subtype is automatically getting filled, and I'll explain to you how. If you say okay for now, okay. So let's refresh your screen 1 second. You see that showed up, right?
Okay.
So as soon as you put in your legal, so it's categorized by subtype, I believe. those briefcase colors are all based on the subtype, and I can show you in the layer legal document point here. Okay, it is based on the subtype field. And the subtypes are usually numbers, but the numbers have a meaning in interpretation, and you see the final meaning, like lot line adjustment and all. I don't, we don't show the numbers. Numbers are kind of hidden for you. But if you go to the symbology, you can see what numbers are what.
Okay,
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, and that's your legal document points, and you can create them. As soon as you create, the related text shows up. Okay. Of course, you have to type in the values too. Yeah.
Okay, Haritha, so once we create this point with the case number on it, are we gonna, at this point, do we create the hyperlink, or does it is it meant to, is a hyperlink gonna happen in the background?
So the hyperlink is going to happen in the background, and let me actually show you what you have here. There is the hyperlink field, right? So we have received a format from somebody who was working with the hyperlinks, and I have emails from the person. I think Ted has been CC'd on that, and this other person. So what we will do is we are setting it up so that it automatically gets populated.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So you don't have to. All you need to do is, because I think that the hyperlink does consist of this document number, right? And then the remaining, the path to the document. So it's all going to be done automatically.
Yeah, we just have to be sure that the nomenclature stays standard for everything, so that it ties the two together. Correct.
Right. You have to make sure that there are no typos or things like that, and this document does exist, because if it doesn't exist on your Laserfish, then the link will be generated, but when you click on it, it will not take you anywhere. So we can do that. If you give me a couple of examples, we can show that you. What I mean is, all of these documents do exist for share, right?
Yep.
Yes, they do.
Okay. So let's show this to you in our next meeting about the hyperlink, the automatic generation. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
And as long as you fill this, you're going to be okay. I'm calling out to Lata. Lata, you know what you have to.
Yeah.
Okay. She's the one who takes care of that. That's why yeah.
We'll show that in the next training. Yeah.
Right. So, okay. So basically, while we are at this point right now, you can see that there is so many things you can do in this menu here. Like if you have to put the address points, and while we are at this, I just want to show you this. If you want to create an address for a single family home that's not already here and you need to create one, you can always go and then click on this. Let's take for example, and then bring it here and then click there, right? And then you get the address text up there, but you really want to go and fill in the attributes of this one. So you have, let me just drag this out. You have all of these attributes to fill in, right? So street number, maybe, let's say 9999, and any other information that you need to fill, you can fill in. And the text
to take the attributes from, because we're creating this point right now with an address point, can we open up 3055 address point and copy all of this information and then just adjust? Because obviously if we dropped an ADU in the backyard here, it would be 3045, 3055, and the one in between it would be 3050. That would be the address that comes in for an ADU that fell in between these two.
Okay.
I'd like to copy all that information so we don't have to regurgitate all that by hand. Is that possible?
Yes, it is very much possible. What you would do is, maybe I'll just show you. I'll just say, okay, over here, right? And that attribute, it just got created. Here's the thing. You need to go and select this point, and again, see the text got selected. So what you do is you go and say, okay, I don't want the text, I want this address point. So the address point gets selected there. And then here also, you can go and, oh, thought I was holding the shift key. So let me actually do it again. So here we can say, okay, here's my address point. And then here I'm holding the shift key right now. And then we can say, I don't want the, maybe I didn't click on that point. Let me try again. And there's several to select from. Okay, there we go. Okay, shift address point. So you have these two address points selected.
Yep.
Right? Then you can go to the attributes right down here. And you can go to this Mary Street because that's where you wanted to copy from. Right? You can say right click and then say copy attributes, come back up here, right click, and then say paste the attributes. So everything from here gets pasted on there. The only thing you have to be careful now is the linking part of it. So this new one here, apparently you will have the so it will have its own object ID. The object ID won't be overwritten, so you're good in that aspect. Okay?
You still have to change that address to 3050 wherever it
Yes.
was
So
applicable.
here, yeah, then you can unselect the other one, right click, and then you can say, okay, that's gone from there, and from your selection, right? And make sure that the street number is now 3050. Okay, and you see the number get updated.
Right above that 3050, the full address says 3055. We would need to change that one, and those are the two fields that we need to change, right?
Yeah, correct. You're right. I just noticed that you have the full address also, right? 3050, yes. Okay, so anything else? Well, you may see other things, just be careful when you do this copy paste of data, that everything is relevant, and, source book, for example, I don't know which source book you might be using, so just make sure about all of these other information. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. Now you have looked at copying attributes from one and then pasting on the other. In the same way, you could actually go and copy the feature itself and then paste it. That means that instead of this, let me make sure I go and select the address itself. Okay, just 1 second. Because when the address is sitting right on the top of the point, it's a little bit tricky. So I'll just make sure. I mean, I could just, don't use this to drag your mouse anytime. Don't use this tool and then drag, and then there's a chance that things will kind of move. So I would always use this if I were to, do a box selection. It's best to do it with this tool. Okay. So let's say you have, and then this comes up, right? So let's unselect this, unselect all of the parcels, So that's the only thing that got selected. So you can always just select and then say copy, and then you can say paste. And then it will ask you which layer to paste. And technically you can paste it on other layers, but I mean, it's just not relevant to do that. It's best to paste it in the same like address point layer, right? And then it gets created, the second point, and it gets created exactly there. So you just move it to a different location. Okay. And then change all the attributes that you want to.
Change the stuff that needs to be changed.
Right. Right. So that's different ways of like managing these point layers and everything.
Okay.
Any questions on this so far?
Now, I think we're pretty good there. Right now,
Okay.
the final stage of that would be cleaning up those distances, but we're not going to do that right now because that's just deleting and then
Right.
changing values.
Correct. We see here that there's the other layers, which is the development and street and all of these. Also remember that we have the topology rules. So if we do have any issues, then the topology rules can be checked. Like for example, if I placed a address point outside somewhere, outside your city boundaries or things like that, it's going to give you an error. So there's the topology rules that these things adhere by. Um, and then the same for these easements and all. Okay, but I think we should move on then maybe to the second workflow.
Okay.
So Cash, are you ready to show the next workflow?
Yeah, sure. Do we want to walk Eswin? I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, Eswin, or do you guys want me to? The thing is, I lost my connection, so I need to reconnect to Map02. So I might be faster.
Eswin's going to jump out to a meeting for about 10-15 minutes with
Okay.
an attorney, so he's city attorney, so he's going to be out of the loop for a couple minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can walk it through locally on my screen, but Doug, do you want to walk through this workflow and I can walk you through it?
Sure. What do we? Should I close out this create features?
Yeah.
Okay.
It can be a creature sometimes.
Creature feature.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. All right. So yeah, we want to create a new tract or polygon or parcel or polygon, basically. So you pick any area that you'd like.
Is there an example, Cash, specific example that we may have received so that we can follow through like some distances and bearings?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea. So you have some survey plans available, right, of like a lot or anything like that, Doug? If not, I can send one to you right now. I have a few.
yeah.
I have a couple that you guys provided.
If you have one, we can go there. That's fine. I've probably seen it. What do you got?
Yeah, I think. Let me send this to the chat. All right. I don't. So it won't let you send an attachment to the chat, huh?
What document is it?
The PDF. So it looks like it says II-P19-0191.
I mean, LM?
II-P19-0191. Let's see. P19-0191. Yeah, that's what I think that's
Yes,
it.
I
This
think
is
that's it.
This is another lot line adjustment.
Yeah.
This is a merger. So basically, we just combined the left and the right side here on Strong Street.
Oh,
So
I see.
the outside boundary exists.
Okay.
Would you have anything like a small tract that you can digitize or something like that? Example. I think we may have received one example.
Cedar Hill and Fair Hill. Do I need spaces here, or should I try and? No,
You don't.
If there is, there should be spaces. Like in the street name, if there is a space, then you should have a space.
Yeah.
So we did a subdivision.
Perfect.
Right here. E334, which created a line right there. Now that's surprising. That looks like that line is existing, but that's a different parcel map number, 37166. So we had that. So that's coming off. That's weird. Okay. Let's see. That's not going to work.
I love how you have several options. This is great.
I have a bunch of examples that I got, and I'll forward them to you, Doug. Maybe you can open up and then see if any of those will work for you.
We can do this one right here. How about Margarita and Mendoza? Let's go to that. That one will work.
That's good.
Oh, see, most of this stuff's already put in. Unfortunately, that's what I'm running into the problem of. Do we have something that hasn't been drafted yet?
You know, what we could do is we could do like a theoretical parcel,
Okay.
just to kind of show you the process, and then we could also come back and then do another one that you find later, or we could also unjoin a parcel from the fabric and then put it in from one of those plans. But for now, we could just do like a theoretical. Let's just do a. You see right above the green line there.
Right here. Yep.
Yeah, let's pretend we have a polygon that we could draw in there.
Okay.
So the first thing we want to do is just start editing from the parcel editor, which you've done, and then we want to create likely a new plan, unless you're going to use an existing plan. So we want to set the active plan that this will be associated to. So if you go to parcel editor and drop that down and open plan directory under the parcel editor there. Down to the not this menu, that's standard editor, but the parcel editor there. Yeah, and plan directory. Up a little, keep going.
Plan directory, got it.
There it is. And I don't see it. It didn't pop up, did it? Did it pop up on your other screen by chance? No? Okay. We can do it this way. We could do, so we'll create a new parcel. So right next to the parcel editor selector, if you look to the right, you'll see something that's, it's got like a little yellow dot on it. There you go, new parcel. Click that. And we want to make that menu a little bit wider, almost probably as wide as the table of contents. Perfect. And then we can click on plan there, where it's at the top, sort of middle top up there, where it says plan. Yeah. And here you can either search an existing plan or just create a plan. And we could create a plan and just call this new tract or new polygon, new parcel. And then if you go over to record format, click that tab, record format, and this is just, you know, some of your units that you might want to change up. I leave these as the default, but you can always change them up, you know.
Radius and chord, we use radius to central angle.
Okay. Nice.
Circular curve direction. Okay.
All right, and then you want to go to corrections. This one I always leave default. I don't really need it much. Go to attributes, and this is where you would enter in, you know, just off the bat, description, surveyor, company, you know,
Yep.
any info that you have, and then just click apply, and then OK. And then next we want to set that as the active plan. Yep. Okay. So what we would normally do is if we had the point of beginning, we would use the construction tool, which is what you have. This is on the far left of the parcel details dialog menu to the far left. So if you look right above where it says new parcel in that dialog, to the far left, that button, that's the construction tool. So you'll use that a lot, you know, building your polygons. So yeah, so let's theoretically say a point of beginning is one of these corners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Click on one of those corners. Yeah, that can work. And then, yeah, just draw any polygon that you'd like.
So I can just click back on this line here.
Correct, yes.
You'll have to give a right click and then enter the distance and bearings, right? That's the, unless he enabled the mode for.
Is it not letting you left click? Okay, do absolute.
If he did the digitize mode, he'll be allowed to. If you're not in the digitize mode, then if you say digitize mode, then you can click and then continue. But otherwise.
Digitize mode would be if I had some kind of a plan that I was just going to try and draft over the top of instead of varying distances.
Yeah. Like if you did, yeah, if you're just gonna, exactly, if you're just gonna draw on top of a survey plan instead of actually enter your bearings and distances, yeah. And then you could just hit OK. Or you could change, yeah, you could, yeah. And you see it populated to the left over there. You can also enter, you can do a right click. If you right click now, you can go to, you click on bearing distance there in the pop-up, and then you can do that again.
Do I need to put the degree symbol?
No, you don't have to do that. You can just do dashes. You can just do 45 dash, you know, yeah. And then
Not that far.
And you also don't have to enter another trick. If you right click and go back and right click again, and go back to direction distance, bearing distance, sorry. So you said direction with Kogo. So here, instead of northeast, you could wipe all that out. So erase all of that, and you could do, you don't have to type north or anything. Let's just say, you know, 60-25-10. And then do a -1 for that quadrant, and it'll automatically, so if you do a -1, it's going to automatically populate your northing and easting. So since that's the first quadrant.
One's going to be northwest, right?
It'll be, northwest will be, yeah, so hit OK, and then your distance, yeah, so.
Cash, what are the codes? 1, 2, 3, 4? What are the
One
codes?
is north. One's northeast. Two is going to be south.
Yeah, so they're all opposite of each other. So I'm going to send this to you. You guys already know this, but I'm going to send this to you in the chat. This will go. I'm going to just send this little key for you.
And I can, at any point in time, I can come in here and adjust these.
Correct. Yeah, you can come in there and adjust those, and you shouldn't ever have any problems. You know. Okay. Please attach that. Also, what you can do is you don't have to type in every single one. Let's say you were drawing on top of a survey plan. You can continue to sketch. So you can just sketch on top of it. Let's say you georeferenced a survey plan, and it'll populate over there to the left as well in the lines table. So if you continue clicking, let's see.
So what are we doing? Somebody just came in and asked me a question in the office. What was going on?
Oh yeah, no worries at all. So what you can do now is you can stop the edit or cancel. Yeah, stop editing, and then save your edits, no, and then start editing again.
Okay, start editing again.
Okay. Now, so go to new parcel again. And then go to plan button. And just create plan. Just call it track or something.
Is that in the general button? Yeah.
Yeah, and see, you could just draw and just click down. Like a left click.
Cash. Yeah, I had to, like, I just wanted to say, yeah, I had to click something in order to get that running, like the left click. Yeah, the digitize mode,
Okay.
right?
Digitize mode, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you'll see it's populating to the left over there.
Got it.
Yeah, and then you'll have to connect to a line.
So what usually happens is when we're doing our traverses or COCO, whatever, we're coming around and this new subdivision is coming in, and we'll start at that one, and the final course will try and get us to this corner down here.
Okay.
And we're not going to make it. So we're going to miss it by some amount. We don't really know what amount we're going to miss it by, but we miss it.
Okay. And then you come back over and do what, like a least squares adjustment to fix it?
It's least squares adjustment, not exactly. It's more of a compass rule adjustment, I believe, which goes in and adjusts this point, this point, and this point, and takes this error right here and adjusts all three of these lines to get us to this point. And then once we get that, so that would be the next step of getting this, what we would consider the outside boundary of our new map in.
Okay. Yeah. And so the parcel fabric will actually handle that for you.
Okay.
Yeah, once we join this to the fabric itself. So if you go ahead and click in that corner, let's just for now theoretically say we were going to click in the corner and then follow that. In fact, yeah, click on that corner and then go all the way to the northwest corner. Yeah, and then go back to your original point of beginning there. Okay. So now we've created a polygon.
Yeah.
Hi, can I quickly ask a question, if you don't mind, Cash and Doug?
Sure.
Yeah.
The point where you said things will differ is probably when you go back to point number 1. Is that correct, or it could happen anywhere else along the boundary that you were?
Well, because we're so, when we're looking at this, we know that let's just say that this portion right here is going to be a street, and this would be some kind of knuckle cul-de-sac or something like that. We know that we're going to come down here, and we know we're going to hit here. We know that this is a good line here, and we know this is a good line here. So there are times when we do a traverse, and it's called a closed traverse on itself. So we're closing it on itself, and there's another traverse where we're closing onto a known point. And so if we're closing on a known point that's not itself, then we would call this as where we would want to close to. So we would bearing and distance, and bearing distance, and then okay, we would miss closing on this point. Let's just say hypothetically by a 10th.
Right.
So the
I see. Okay.
the computer would say, because we can't in Cadme, we can't change, or in our system, we can't change this line, and we can't change this line. These lines are solid, they're staying. Nothing's going to happen with those. And we don't want to create an error by coming around here and closing on this and then having this polygon.
I see where you're coming from. So looking at it now from that angle, with the topology rules, I know there's a rule that all of the polygons must close. So
they've probably thought about this, and they know that when I'm running along this southwesterly line and this northwesterly line, that those are going to be part of my boundary, and the guys over there that are designing this stuff probably are smart enough to know that. But in Cadme, we were allowed to do this because it was the original, so we could stop it here and just stop our bleeding. Because if we went to here and tried to close this, it wasn't smart enough program to say that this is a line that has to stay and this is a line that has to stay. So we may just continue our traverse and follow this. I would call this line here a free line. This is a free line. This is a free line. And then when we got to this misclosure here and went to here, how the computer is going to know that because I missed this by a 10th.
okay.
Can we simulate that scenario, Cash, or is that?
No, unfortunately not. The parcel fabric, it has to maintain the connectivity, and all of the polygons have to close. So
yeah,
unfortunately,
so if I don't take this from 4 to 5 and get to this corner somehow, you know, so when I draft this line and bearing and distance, and I draft this bearing distance, and bearing distance, and I say, oh shoot, I didn't miss this by a 10th. I missed my point by a 10th. The software is not smart enough to know that I really wanted to go to that point. So that's where we need to come up with something. However we're going to do it. If we go and close on this, we don't want to throw all the error here. That's not fair to these other lines in surveying. Well, we want to make sure that our misclosure error of this 10th is split up here, here, and here, and here. We don't want to throw it in this little tiny 15-foot leg and say, okay, this one's off a 10th. This one's right. This one's right. This one's right.
Oh.
The longest leg is going to get the brunt of the error. So this one's probably going to get 7/10. This one's going to get 0.12, and then this one down here is going to get the smallest amount of the error. That's the way we do it in the survey world.
Okay. So now thinking about that, do you guys make those changes based on coordinates, right?
In the not in the GIS or in Cadme world, we would run this out bearing and distance, and we would find what our misclosure was. And sometimes, like in AutoCAD, you can do what's called a rotate, translate, and scale. And this 200-foot line would get, and if this is 250 and 50 and 10, and so we would add 310 feet. So we would proportionally distribute that error to get us onto this line. And that's where this 200-foot line would now be 200.05. And this one would 50 would be 50.01, 50.01, and whatever to to make up that error. But what we would see on our distances would be the record distances that were on the map. This would say 200, this would say 50, this would say 50, and this would say 10, even though in real life, to make this work inside our box, those distances would be changed. So that was something that was very unique and smartly thought out, knowing that we're never, ever going to get the exact closure on this.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
But
that's, this is good to see. This is good to see, you know, sort of how some of your workflows worked.
Because we're playing inside this box, and most of Riverside has been mapped, most of the places we are going to be mapping our boxes, there are going to be times where we're throwing a traverse out and around and coming back on ourselves. And in those kind of cases, letting the computer fix this misclosure, it would do exactly what we're doing. It's just this scenario where we have a line and we don't want to create a problem, and we don't want to throw all the error into this last leg.
I see. Okay.
I know exactly what you're saying. The parcel fabric's not going to want that sliver running all the way up to here, because there's going to be a sliver here. If we miss this by 1/10, we're probably going to miss this distance up here by 3/10, and then we're going to end up missing back here by 5/10.
Yeah, and we can check the residuals, and we can check that when we join it to the fabric. We can actually take a look at that as well.
Okay.
So yeah, you did. So you have a closed polygon. That's great. So over in the left-hand side, you in the parcel details, if you go up, I think it's the 4th tool over. It's keep and join. Click on keep and join. Okay. So now we can create join links. So what I like to do is I like to use the one not to the far right. So, okay, so these, let's hover over each one of these real fast. So starting with the far right. This one is a direct, basically a point-to-point join link. In other words, let's say there were 10 points existing in that corner, in that bottom corner there. Let's say there were 10 existing fabric points there. This is where you would zoom in really close and you would link, you know, the new point to the point that you're trying to link it to. You know, because there's a cluster of points and you want it to be as accurate as possible. If there are no other existing fabric points or line points, or, you know, down there, other than one, I like to use the one right next to it, the create join link, because you can draw a little box and it saves you a lot of time. The one to the left, you can draw like a little square around your new points. And this is just for connectivity purposes. So the whole process of joining it to the fabric is to connect it to existing fabric points in the fabric, so that.
And if we have a stack of points, we want to connect to all that stack. We don't want to connect to the top one or the middle one or the 1 5 down. We want to make sure we're joining to the group of parcels. And if it's just one point, then we want to use it. Or does it matter?
Well, you want to join to one point. You want to join each new point only to one point in the parcel fabric, unless you come up with like a mean adjustment, MEAN. So let's try this first. The one to the left is really helpful. Okay, so the trace, go over one more to the left. So the trace fabric to create join links, that one's really helpful when you have, you know, you're building a new subdivision and you just created all these new points. It'll just save you a lot of time, especially if it's a big subdivision and you're entering, you know, 25 lots or 50 lots, things like that. It's really helpful. And go ahead, Harita.
Sorry, Cash. And in this example, the line on the west, is that an example where where Doug can use trace this line here? Is that an example?
It's an example if there were several existing points. But since there aren't several existing points, I mean, there are. Yeah, that actually is an example. Yeah, you could absolutely do that. You do have a handful of points. It's not. It wouldn't be super laborious to join all those, but yeah, let's try that. Let's try the trace. Let's go with the trace, and we'll trace to create our join links. So you see the trace buffer default is set to 10. You can set it to pick up any points within 5 of the buffer, 5 feet of the buffer, 5-foot buffer. Let's just try 10. Let's do 10. So what you want to do is you want to come down here and start somewhere on, let's start at the bottom. Yeah, the very, very bottom. Yeah, so start there and then trace all the way west up that line. And what that's going to do is it's going to automatically create the join links on those lots. Oops. Keep going up and then to the right. So there, yeah, there you go. And then try to come down if it'll let you. Or what you could do is, okay, so if it wouldn't let you come down, continue coming down. You could hit undo. You're fine. So if you just, okay, so yeah, it's not gonna undo. So we do have to move that back. Should snap into place. Okay, so let's try to create the links. There may be an error here, but let's try to create the links. So on the left-hand side, just click on Create Links. Since you have that buffer there, it should lock them in. Yeah, you see how I created those? That's perfect, yeah. And so the other ones are new fabric points anyway, so there's nothing to really link them to. So you've already linked every existing fabric point that is already in the parcel fabric with your new polygon points, right? The red ones are new points, line points. So if you look at the residuals there, they're pretty low. That's really good. In the menu to the left, in the join menu there, yeah, you see exactly what's about to happen. And then if you click join to the left there in the join parcel dialog, bottom, yeah. And to join a parcel, you need just at least 2 join links to join a polygon to the fabric, at least 2. And you also need at least 2 join links to run an auto join, just so you know. Because a lot of people like to auto join if it's like a lot or like a simple parcel. It's easy to do, like, just create 2 little join links and then auto join it. It just saves time and it's quick.
Is this updating job data waiting for me to do something here?
Just click OK. Just click OK on this dialog box. We'll come back to this later, the attributes later.
So it's just adding to your fabric there. So if you zoom out and
okay, annotations again.
yeah.
So all of the annotations got created for you on the new parcel.
Yep.
Do a clear selection, if you don't mind, at the top, clear selection.
The next one.
Yeah. And then reselect your new parcel. The one, yeah. Let's try to select that.
Do you want to just select the new parcel?
Yeah.
You can open up the attribute editor and you can, or you can go to the left side in the table of contents, go to the selection tab in the table of contents, up 1, 2, 3rd. Okay. Okay. Here you can unselect the track map down there, this, press on this button here and it will clear that. And then you see that one, I believe that's your new parcel, right? That's the only one. That's the new, the one with 1 over there. So what we can do is, there's a couple of ways to work with this right now. You can also click on your attributes again, right? And then you can say you have this one.
Only
Okay.
select.
Only select this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and that will select you just for that.
Perfect.
Okay.
On that one.
Right.
Now you can enter all your attributes and such here. And if it was, let's say you accidentally left the defaults on tax parcel, you can drop that menu down where it's next to type. And let's say you were entering a track map, you could change that to track map and just do that real fast. Let's check that out and just say yes. And then there you go, you know.
Right. Just remember one thing, changing subtype means that the default values may change. So just go back and check all the attributes again. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything else? Those texts, those line texts, you can always change them, right? You can go to the line itself.
Yeah.
So let's select the line. So you see all of those. So we don't want to change anything with the parcel, so we can clear the selection on that one. You can clear this selection also. Tracked map, clear selection. So that line is that line there. And it's got that, don't worry about this because that's just showing you what all is related. So you don't need to worry about that. But what you need to do is go down here and then you have your distances. So where's the distance field? Okay, I sort it by alphabetic category, right? So that's your distance field there. It's automatically coming in, and I believe it's depending on the distance there. Okay, it's reading from the distance. So that's really the question. That field, you see, it's not editable. It's not
Yep.
something you can edit. Okay. So these distances, so the way to handle this annotation right now happens to be going here and click this and then just change the text to, let's say,
Manually, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question on the design, but I will talk to Ted about that later. But this is something that you can, change and then say apply. Because I think that the distance is coming from, the value is coming from the distance field rather than recorded distance. If you wanted that text to be depending on the recorded distance, you might want to change something in the schema. So that's why we'll check and come back to you on that one. Okay.
Okay.
I'm
Perfect.
trying to hit the apply button, but it's hidden on the right side for me. There should be an apply button somewhere.
I got it.
Okay. Okay. So that's how the text update works right now.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
And if you wanted to associate that with like a different plan, you could. You would just go to the plan directory and you could query the plan, or you could, but you would just have to make sure that it was selected first. So your new parcel or your new track, or polygon rather, you would have to select that, and then you could change it and assign it to a different plan if you wanted to. So. I think because that annotation,
It's highlighted still.
yeah, if you clear selection at the top, or either way.
Where did I right here?
Right.
And I went back to
And then right click on that one at the top. I think that's our new one. And then, yeah. And then if you were to go, okay, so you join that plan to the fabric. Oh, it's already been joined. That's right. Okay, so yeah, so now that, so you would have to unjoin this and then rejoin it to assign it to a different plan. So actually, you can't go and change it to the plan once you've created and joined it to the fabric, unless you unjoin it from the fabric and then assign it to another plan and then rejoin it back to the fabric. So that's how that works. Let's say you made a mistake and entered the wrong plan, but it's the correct parcel or the correct track map or whatever it may be. Yeah, you just go through the same process, but you would right click on it and go down to unjoin.
Hang on 1 second, sorry. There's a track map also selected, so make sure that you don't have any track map selected up there. Clear selection. I understand it was the same parcel probably, but I just want to make sure. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, and you can just go to unjoin there. And then you would, you know, obviously have to rejoin it back to the parcel fabric if you made a mistake. In some cases, though, after you've saved your edits, like in the LGIM, it doesn't disappear. It actually stays there, the parcel. It just lights up the parcel. It sort of jumps out, and then you can actually change the plan right there, interact. But in this case, that's okay. So let's see. I'm trying to think of another thing.
Can we join this again now?
You could hit the undo button. So if you go to the top, go to undo. Yeah, undo the unjoin to bring it back. And then, yeah, so the way it's set up, it won't. Click on rejoin. Let's try to rejoin. Let's do rejoin and see if what options we have here. Okay, yeah, no, that's just to rejoin the links and whatnot in case you had issues there. Yeah, so no, you would actually have to go back and redraw it.
I hope it doesn't happen that often that you have to. I mean, you start off with the right plan number, correct? Most of the times.
Yeah. I mean, usually, yeah.
Okay. Anything else on this workflow, Cash? Or can we look at the next workflow?
Yeah, I want to show you guys a trick real fast before we move on to the next one. So go to the top of the parcel editor and hover over it's almost to the very end, the transform, over one more. Transform parcels, yeah. Okay, so click that. Okay. And here you have the option to, oh, by the way, our parcel has been joined. So clear selected features, I'm sorry. Or you know what, it's fine. You can actually, you're fine right now. Actually, you're good. For transform parcels, right here, you can move, scale, some of the things you were talking about, rotate, scale rotate, move parcel point, things like that. So let's
can we do a move?
Yeah, let's move a parcel point or something. So scroll to the left a little. Let's see, right there you go. You can move a parcel point. Yeah.
It's probably not something you do just like that, right? You need the plan and everything, but this option is available is what we're trying to show you.
Yeah, exactly. I rarely use this, but it's there if you need it. Rotate, you know, some of those tools I use often, and you know, it's helpful. But we'll get into all that even further. Definitely want to get through.
Almost all of our stuff is going to be bearing and distance, COGO traverses, and
Okay.
an occasional offset. We're not going to be dragging points is not something that is any kind of practice.
Yeah.
Because then we're throwing some kind of unknown error into how far we're dragging it. So it's that's just most likely just not going to happen.
Yeah. Sure. And then
Yeah.
you can just hit the X there, or you can hit undo the X. Hit the X right there at the red X. Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Cancel.
So I think we have seen merging parcels, and we have seen creating new parcels, which you have just done. And then the other workflow is where you take an existing parcel and then you subdivide it. I mean, the example that we just saw right now is kind of like that, but it's like I'm just trying to think about a better way to like the workflow would be to split parcels, if I may say. You do have those, right? Go ahead.
There's never really going to be a time where that we go into and evenly split a parcel right in half. That is going to be slim and just a fluke if it happens. So more likely than not, we'll find a point along the front and a point along the back that we've either prorated back in, or if it's 100 feet on the front and 100 feet on the back, then we can't split. It's just not going to happen very often that it's a perfect 50-50 split it down the middle and give this guy half and give that guy half.
Right, and that's why I didn't include that workflow sort of for this exercise, because it's so rare to do that. But you never know. I mean, every municipality, every city government, and they're also different the way they manage their parcel data, right? So some do it, some don't, but I rarely see it used for like an even split. So yeah.
Right. What I don't. There is something called parcel division there, a workflow. I think right, Cash, where it evenly divides the parcel.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's not how City of Riverside does. I mean, city's workflow is to find, like you're saying, a point on the parcel frontage, a point on the parcel back, and
so
then.
Is there a way to take this 197 line and so let's say we had 3 lots. One was 50, one was 60, and one was 87. Would there be a way to split that into 3 pieces of a?
Yeah. So we could go through that. So
now, would that be on the parcel that the polygon we created, or would that be splitting the line underneath it?
So it would be the parcel that you just created. It depends. It's whichever parcel you decide to do it. Whichever one you decide you want to do it on. So yeah.
So let's see, hypothetically, if we were splitting this into 3 lots, parcel 1, parcel 2, and parcel 3, and this first one was 50, the next one was 60, and the last one was 87 with this little pie shape back here, we could split the front. And we know it's not 197. We know it's a little bit more than that. So we would proportion the front with the 50, 60, and 87 and get the proportions there, and then figure out where the back points would fall. And so it would be this distance plus a portion of this distance and this distance and a portion of this distance. And then we could, once we created that point and that point, then we could hand draw that line in from there to there. Or we could do a bearing and distance from there to there from the map, which would get us fairly close to the closure. But from what I'm understanding, we would need to get to that point. So that would be something that we would do.
Yeah,
once we establish the point on the east and once we establish the point on the west by proportion, then getting that line in on bearing and distance would be the final step of getting those lots separated.
Sure. Yeah. So you can do that. That's definitely possible. Do you want to do break lines like for lots? Do you want to go through that right now, or do you want to? Yeah, we could go through that. So click X on the Parcel Explorer to the left. And let's go ahead and stop editing and not save edit. Well, no, let's not save edits. So let's let's start editing from the parcel editor.
Even if we split this line right here into
yeah. So okay. So open up your parcel details dialog. Parcel details. So it's going to be on the parcel editor, almost to the end, but in the middle, sort of. Parcel details, right in between the two you were just at, to the right of the one with the red on it. Yeah. Okay. So let's say new parcel. Like we were going to create a new parcel. So directly next to the selection shift there. Okay, perfect. So, yeah, you could create a new plan. You can call it lots or, yeah, or anything. And then, since you have the construction tool selected, hover over one of the lines and right-click. Okay, so yeah, so select a, so we're gonna need to select a parcel. Sorry, so go to the parcel selector and select a parcel. Weird, it's not selecting right now. Okay, right-click on one of those parcels. Interesting. Okay, so stop editing, and we'll start editing again. And this time, instead of creating a new parcel, we'll just, yeah, just stop editing. No. Start editing again. And then we want to right-click on a parcel and just. Okay, so click on construct from parent. Okay, right-click on the line somewhere on the black line. Right-click. Okay, so we should be able to insert a break line, but it's not allowing us to. Okay. Well, we could always create a new parcel, but you should. The tool is right there. It's called break line. So when you click on, yeah, that's where you're able to do that, and you can enter all the distances. Like let's say you have lots that are separated 100 feet apart. You can enter, as many break lines as you'd like. Yeah, there you go. And then, of course, the points, they have their numbers on there. So if you want to change the symbology and put a halo or whatever later on around the points, you can see them better. But, you could choose right here, between which points, the distance between each, and that's sort of how you would do that. And then you can build your lots from those. You build your lot parts.
So that's telling me that my distance right there from those 2 points is 199,853. And so if I wanted to split that into 101 and 99, it would evenly create that point in the middle.
Correct.
Not evenly, but proportionally put that at 99 and 101 with the discrepancy of the 83.
Exactly. Exactly. And then you could build, like if you had another polygon to build from that, that would be a good, there's your point right there. It's already in place. So that's a helpful tool when building lots. Another helpful tool is to be able to import CAD data, which we'll get into in the next session. If you guys are interested in that, is importing CAD data. Like, let's say you have a whole subdivision that came from a surveyor, or it would just save you a lot of time from entering all those into the parcel fabric. It saved me countless hours just by importing that. And then you just basically you copy and paste the lines in, and then you build your polygons from that. So,
is that something that you would use, bringing in CAD data?
We do. We have requested CAD data and DXF files from the surveyors and engineers for the last couple of years. So we do have that, and we do request that when on the final map when they deliver their stuff. So we do have that. So that was something that we were going to be hoping that we could use. The hard part is that if this was our parcel that someone developed, we're going to have to drop it in here with those lines, and then what are we going to do when this distance here, which maybe have never been measured in the field, and let's just say from here to here is 25 feet, but truly on their map it's 24 feet.
On their map, you mean in the CAD data?
Yeah, so in the CAD data it's 24 feet, which they measured, and they found something here, and here in our GIS world we have 25 feet. So how do we manipulate their CAD data to make it fit here? So once again, we run into the problem where we have to make that line that's going to be 24 feet offset from this line over here match something that's 25 feet and might be a different bearing. And when we start dragging stuff around without drafting it in, then we're not putting that error proportionally around in all the lines. So we run in, the reason that Riverside data is tighter than most GIS data is because every single line has been drafted in here.
I see what you mean.
And so
if you bring in
error is all put in the right place per survey methods.
Correct.
So it would be nice if we dropped it in, and then it instantaneously, in a perfect world, their map would fit what was in our GIS, but this GIS is hand drafted, and so we're never going to match. So we are going to have these kind of issues. So if we're spending our time trying to make their CAD data proportionally fit properly in this little box, and we take a corner down here on lot 10, let's say, and we drag it out to the corner now the line that's in between lot 10 and lot 12 or 11 is not going to be proportioned along all these lots. And so when people put their fences in, we're going to see a little discrepancy on the fence lines and where we put that line, and all the error is going to be down in slot here at the bottom.
I see. Yeah.
Cash, was that like a rubber sheeting or something that gets done on the CAD data so that it will fit within the city of Riverside's data?
So that's a really, really, really good point that you brought up. The fact that that's why this data is so quality is that you guys have drafted everything in it, right?
Yeah.
So really what you would be doing is you would be taking the CAD data and then you would be, joining that to the fabric. So then really, we'll do a test on it. I think we'll do a test on it, and then I want to work through it with you guys to mitigate correcting it. Because I had to do that a lot in the past when working with engineering groups and surveyors, and a lot of times you're right. The CAD data versus the parcel fabric data, there's discrepancies that happen, especially when you're copying a ton of lines and pasting them to the fabric and then joining them. You end up, sometimes you have topology errors and issues like that come up, gaps, overlaps, things like that will throw off your whole system, and then you have to spend time correcting it. So it's a catch-22.
And we know we're going to get some sloppy data from certain people, and we probably make a list of those people that we know we're going to get bad stuff from. I do have a recently recorded subdivision, that one that we were kind of looking at off Streeter. You guys aren't familiar with Riverside, but it's across the street from Sears, where it's a little PRD, where I should have the CAD file, and I could probably request, I think I have a DXF, I could probably request the CAD file from the person that did that, because we're friends with the company, and we could see how that worked.
Yeah, we can work with that. Exactly.
At,
That would be helpful.
at the very least, is the CAD in the right projection? That when you bring it into ArcMap, it's sits at least
The city of
tentatively in the
Riverside
location.
doesn't force people to put it on to stapling coordinates. If you wanted to use the street that was right in front of your subdivision and you found two monuments, as long as you've got two monuments in a correct basis of bearing, then you can do that. A lot of people, 95% of the stuff that we get from people out from the outside is going to be on its own basis of bearing. So it's not going to be dropping right in place. And even if it was dropping, it wouldn't drop in exactly because it would have some kind of their epic on it whenever they did their field survey. So it's not going to be super difficult because we have centerline intersections and they have centerline intersections on their map, but we're going to have to do some manipulation to it to get it from their CAD drawing. And we don't force people, the county forces people to put stuff on stapling coordinates. We just don't. And so haven't even looked at the file. So it could be out in space at 10,000 and rotated funny. So we would have to manipulate it.
Cash, one question for you.
Yeah.
Would it be helpful to you to put all the line work in one layer, like the 0 layer, or call it something? I guess what would be more helpful to you when transferring this DWG file over to you?
Yeah, if you could, if you guys could query out the line work, that'd be great. That would save some time for sure. Yeah, just having that.
Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to say, if you have, there are standards that people like, ask the developers or anybody else that's giving you the CAD data to, put in certain specific layers, and then, if you are using point features, then use a consistent block name and, block symbol and those kind of things. And then depending on what they do, like if everything's according to your standards, you could technically write a model builder, as we call it, like an automation process here. You can make a model builder that will take your file and then put it in the different layers, and that's a way to transfer the CAD data into your GIS. But this is Parcel Fabric, and it's a little bit more like you could bring in legal document points easily like that, or you could bring in some other layers like that. Okay, anything that's not part of Parcel Fabric. But if it's Parcel Fabric, extra care there. So.
Yeah, well, what I was thinking was if we were able to DXF or export, let's say, line work from ArcGIS into a DWG format, then we could match properties, make that our template, our master template, let's say, and then we would match properties to that drawing.
In the CAD world.
In the CAD world, so that whenever we decide, okay, once that's cleaned up, then we can bring it into GIS, and it would be so much easier. But I think the master file would have to come from ArcGIS out so that we can use that to match properties, the CAD.
Yeah. It is possible to.
You understand what he's talking about? So we would take this outskirt line. If our subdivision was going in this flag lot, we would take out these lines here and then drop those into AutoCAD, and then we would manipulate the data inside AutoCAD to make sure that it was correct with their outside boundary and correct with what was proportioned, and then we would draft in CAD. But the difference with drafting in CAD and drafting in here is where each line is only one line. So once we brought that in, will the Parcel Fabric create individual polygons for the lines, the lots that are created?
Yes.
Yes. It does that automatically once we drop in the CAD data.
Yeah, when you drop in the CAD data, what you'll do is you copy and paste the line work. So it automatically creates the lines, and then you would build the parcels from those lines. So
can we do like that tracing that I did?
Yes. Yeah, you could do that, or you could. There's actually a faster way to do it without having to trace every one of those parcels. So you wouldn't have to do a lot of manual work to do it. So you could drop it in, and yeah, so I'll show you that process. It's actually really beneficial, and you guys might want to use that workflow a lot.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Do you want me to show you the lot that we're going to work on with
Sure.
CAD data?
Sure.
Location, that's going to be Sierra and Streeter.
Cash, just checking on the other things, like we have seen like a lot division just now, right? You showed the breakpoints and everything. That's an example of dividing the lot. That's the workflow, right? And you've
Yeah.
shown new parcels. You have shown merging the parcels. So I'm just wondering, is there any other workflow that we need to cover according
you
to
know,
our plan?
Yes, there is. Thanks for reminding. We have a least squares adjustment that we need to go through. After we look at this. Oh, I remember this one.
Yeah, so we were drafting on this that one day, and this has got a PRD that comes in and goes around here, and so we've got the DXF file. So if, like Eswin was saying, if we could get this outside box, then we could.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Take the outside box to CAD, and then you make changes in CAD and bring the entire line work back into Parcel Fabric.
Chad,
I need for rotation wise and let's say layer match property so that we're able to match the GIS, you know.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah,
it's just for match properties. Not, I think that we're still going to have to do some sort of splicing in between the lines once it's in the GIS world because of the unit specs, you know. But we want to be able to make it as quick as we can so that we're not having to, let's say, change lines that are in the 0 layer over to the parcel line that's in GIS. If we can just do that, match properties over on CAD, if possible.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out.
Yeah, no, this is great. So yeah,
So
we'll revisit this. And oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Can you see this map?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I see. The one with all the lots in it, yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's a good bit of line work.
You know, so ideally what we would do in here is our outside box is created, so we would start at a point right here, and then we would go bearing in distance and bearing in distance and bearing in distance along the outside right-of-way line until we got it back around to here. And then we would proportion this line in here and proportion this line in here and then start connecting these by bearing in distance. That would be the old way of doing it.
Okay. Yeah.
And then when we got to the inside, that we'd have to get somehow to this inside right-of-way line and then create that island. And almost the last thing that we would do is create that center line and come back and around. That was the old way of doing things.
Okay.
This probably would have taken 2 to 3 days to draft and then annotate.
Yeah, that's
in CAD. Were you doing it in CAD or in
We
CAD?
would do that in CAD-Me.
Right. Okay.
We would do all that drafting in CAD-Me. And like I said, when we were drafting around this line here with our bearing and distance, we would get back to this point and we'd miss it a little bit. Who knows by how much, but then we would have told CAD that we were starting here and then we were finishing at a point right over here, which we would have prorated this point back in, and then it would have done an adjustment on that outside line.
I see. Yeah. That break line tool is going to come in handy big time.
Yeah, that really is a time saver because you have to come in and split up that. You got to create all these different points.
Something in another session too. I'd love to go through georeferencing with you guys in ArcMap, so you can overlay your plans and visualize and see your distances as you're drawing them, or drafting them in the parcel fabric.
It has been like we have actually put the documentation for that in the editor guide, and if
Oh,
you
that's right.
want, we can show it to you right now. I don't know what else. What are the other workflows that you had?
We need to.
You had to
You're right.
show.
Yeah, thanks, Aretha. You're right. Least squares adjustments. I know you guys probably want to see that process in the parcel fabric, so we can do that real quick. It's a quick workflow. So if you zoom into some of those lots on the north right there, we can walk through them really quick. Okay, great. So then let's start editing from the parcel editor. Okay, so we're already editing. Let's stop editing and not save edits, and then we'll start editing again. Okay, so we want to click on the Maintain Control Points tool, which is just to the right of Create Parcel or New Parcel. It's just to the right. Yeah, click that one. So once the control dialog pops up, what we want to do is click New so that we can drop a new point. Now, right here, you can enter the latitude, longitude if you have it in a plan, or the surveyors give it to you, or you get it from somewhere, a source. And it will automatically drop to the latitude, longitude that you enter. And then you can give it a name and all that great stuff there. But for now, we'll just, you clicked new. So let's go and drop this point. You see 03 right there to the right of this menu, the parcel 03. Somewhere on the outer boundary, let's drop this point on the northern part of one of these parcel corners.
Like in the street or in the corner?
Yeah, that's fine right there.
Just so you guys are aware, this is something that we're never going to do.
Okay. Okay.
But you do have control points, right?
Yeah, and that's but it's not something that those control points are set control points, and we're not going to create a random control point. Those control points were all created by an outside surveying company that created them all at the same time with a special kind of control. So we can't just drop a point like that.
Okay.
That especially a control point, because if we drop a control point like that without any kind of relationship to another point, then it doesn't mean anything. The control point has to be, the reason it's called a control point is because it is strictly controlled. It has been tied to multiple points and been retied to a couple other points and then adjusted. So when we did this in one of the other trainings that I saw, where you dropped a point and you slid a line out to that point, that's just never going to happen.
Okay. So
it's just not a workflow that we need to practice. If at some point in time, I'm not going to say that a control run is going to be done to tie stuff down, but our line work is controlled by our center lines.
Okay, I see.
And so it's more important once the center line goes in, and we get an offset. This distance here is relative to how that center line is going to be in. So the way that our stuff is set up, so like when you think about the way the county does a place out in the middle of nowhere, and they get some control points and they're starting to tie stuff and get it back together to these control points, our line work doesn't work like that.
Okay.
So I don't mind learning how to drop a control point and move it, but if a field surveyor goes out and finds a point right here, this line right here that's 33 feet from the center line of that is never going to be out at that point right there. Okay. That would be what's considered a prod, and their property starts where the city of Riverside's property ends.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is there cash? Is that something that can, I mean, right now we know that the control points, the center lines depend on the control points, and the properties themselves will depend on the center lines. right? So that's how your control is working right now, right?
So for the subdivision that we were just looking at down here, what
Mm-hmm.
their control is to stay within that box, and so they went out. I don't know.
You
Close
can
that for a
close that.
second.
Yeah, thanks.
So when they came in to do their project, they went and looked right here, 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 and here, and they found a couple of those points, and so, but they had to stay within this box, and they had to find the center line, and then they're playing in their little sandbox right here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
we haven't gotten to a point where if they found this monument here, that we would drop a point in here. That's because we don't, their information of how that point got picked up is not relative to
Yeah, I know.
our
Yeah, I
stuff.
see. Mhm.
You know,
Right.
the control points that we have are, like I said, that are, I think it was RBF or somebody like that did that, and did it over several days, and it was thousands and thousands of dollars to put those control points in. Now, on their map, it's going to show that they found something over here, and they found something up here, but we haven't gotten to a point where we drop that in. And if we drop that in, we wouldn't necessarily change the point of where lot 9 is up here.
Okay. We have a workflow that we were trying to address, which is called the least squares adjustment, and
Got
this
it.
also came from you in the past. So what would be a scenario in which you would be using the least squares adjustment? We will try to replicate that. So
Ted
that,
was the one that talks about least squares adjustment, because we don't, least squares adjustment is a mathematical process to put a point in at this closest location. So it's not something that we use by itself. If we were to do like the traverse to get down to this point here, and we did a compass rule adjustment, we use compass rule adjustment on a traverse all the time. Least squares adjustment is something that is used inside surveying software like QuickStar to take some error and relatively spread that around multiple points once you have fixed points.
Yeah, we used to use it to adjust things inside existing control. So, I mean, we still used it when I was with San Bernardino County.
Jack, but taking certain
there's
points.
always, yeah, there's more than one way to do everything. I mean, you know, especially in Kogo, and yeah, I think I mostly did compass adjustments too. But
to stabilize
just,
the control
you want to have all
points.
but you just want to have all of the tools at your disposal that you might. There's plenty of times where you get something that you just could not have foreseen, and then that's, to me, that's why you go ahead and.
I'm trying to think of it. And Eswin and you have done more drafting than I believe I have, but I haven't used any kind of least squares adjustment since I've been here. But we do in our drafting, when we're drafting, we do use compass rule adjustment. I just don't know if in our surveying methods, when we're inputting data, that we're going to use a least squares adjustment for any points. Eswin?
Yeah, that's up to you guys, actually. I was just talking about from my experience, you know, that
Sorry,
you
I
guys
was
determine the rules.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I guess it's tomatoes. The previous example and I came in right on the time that you guys were finishing that one leg where you choose 2 points and then you traverse between the two, and that's where we would use the compass rule adjustment. And I don't want to say that, or I don't want to rule out the the other option, because we may need it.
Squares.
Yeah, the least squares, because we may need it. It may come in tighter using the least squares, or they're calling it something else and we're calling it, like, let's say the mathematical function may be the same and we're just calling it 2 different terms. I guess we would need to see it.
Yeah, let's go through
Let's
this
look at it.
workflow that Cash wants to
Okay.
demonstrate. Also, the compass adjustment and there's three kind. When you're digitizing those new parcels, the there's a closure tab in there in the parcel traverse that you have the compass adjustment, transit, and Crandall adjustments. So those are available and part of that. Okay, today we just wanted to like show you, but we can show you exactly where those adjustments are next time. For now, Cash, can you show us the least squares adjustment as you were planning to? And I also had a quick question on whether you can use any existing control points, I guess, um, if they are already available.
Yeah, you can use existing control points. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe go to one of the existing control points and then show us there if that's okay with you.
Okay. Yeah. If Doug, if you want to take me to any existing control points nearby, we can do that.
We just don't use them.
Okay. So yeah, so you guys
So I don't,
only
it's not, if an engineer was going to come in here and they were going to use an elevation control point, then they would find a benchmark and they'd do a bench run to get an elevation on this site. But if I can't give you an example of what you're trying to show us what we can do.
Yeah, sure.
It's just not it's not something that.
Yeah.
Typically, Cash, we don't necessarily, let's say, attach to a control point to start a traverse. We literally just like, let's say the control points are they always stay, and we don't have in CAD, we don't have the ability to actually select them. So we only take off from like an existing center line or lot line or right-of-way line or literally a line.
What would control when we put this subdivision in here would be this corner here and this corner here.
Yeah.
So those we would, as far as when we think about control, it would be this point and this point. If the surveyor went out and found a corner here and it was a foot off by a foot off over in this corner, that doesn't help us because we're not going to take this line and move this line down here because we don't know how that relates to this line up here. So that surveyor would have to establish this line. And if this line moved, then this line would move. And if this line moved, then this line would move. So we try and keep everybody to stay within their empty box. So our control for this project is these four corners right here. So
I see. Yeah.
I'm trying to come up with a reason on why we would need to do that workflow where we find a monument that's out here that would create a large angle point in this line, but it's just not something that.
No, I completely agree. And most of the times, people use the control points, like you said, when they find the monuments or when they find, certain things in the field, right? Surveyors.
Yeah.
And engineers, and it would be corners like you're out here. It would be like in your street center line, right? But there is, and there is a way to adjust only that polygon that you select without affecting every polygon around it. It actually.
Yeah, so that's where we open up that can of worms. Where if we've got a pretty tight system as it is now, and if we accept the found monument corner here, which shifts this line here because this is a 150-foot lot, then the ripple effect just starts going out until before you know it, we're redrafting the entire city of Riverside. So we try and contain our control to what's here, and we don't. And as we said, we don't. If there's a control point a half a mile away, we don't make the surveyor do some kind of traverse to get to this corner to make sure we're tying into that control point, because it could skew this whole thing, and this thing could be sitting like this. That's a exaggeration, but
yeah, no, I understand now. That's that's helpful to see.
I think if we were starting from a position where we were creating a GIS system from scratch and we didn't have control, that we would have to start somewhere, and then we would take that control points. Let's say this is the first subdivision we put in, we'd hold those monuments, and then we'd find some more monuments, and then we'd make that stuff fit. But we're 30 years down that road already.
Yeah. Okay, I think we'll move on from the least squares adjustment, and let's look at the basis of bearing if you have time, that is, Cash.
Yeah, basic bearing would be good.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So we definitely want to put the basis of bearing tool into your parcel editor toolbar. So we'll just go to customize at the top menu at the very top, customize, and then we'll go to customize extensions.
Customize mode, yeah.
Customize mode, sorry. Thank you so much. Commands tab in the middle. It's a tab at the top right there, commands tab, and then scroll down and you'll find parcel, and then just click parcel once, and then to the right you'll see the tool. So if you click on, and then you just hold basis of bearing down and drag that into your toolbar, your parcel editor toolbar.
Into up here.
Yeah, anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There you go.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you can customize how you like your tools and such. I like to do that a lot. And then you can close this now. And
Doug will too.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll start editing. Oh, you're already editing? Okay, start editing. And then we can just right click on a parcel. And choose construct from parent. Yep. The parcel details dialog will open up. There you go. Check the box that says show selectable parent lines. And then just make sure that the parcel measurements view is checked. It's the one up there. It looks like a little, it's right next to the red X. Check that. Yeah. Okay. All right. And yeah, so then with the construction tool, what you want to do is you just want to go and hover over a line. It can be anywhere, yeah. And, so then you want to do a right click. You might want to zoom in closer. You need to run over there to basis of bearing. While you have that going on right now, just go over to basis of bearing and click on that. And then it brings up the menu. And then you can zoom in closer if you want to that parcel. And then I don't know if you guys will use this either, but it could come in help. It might come in handy. Some people use this a lot and some people don't.
So so this is where we toss in that basis of bearing, and right now we're on 81, 41, 18, and so if we wanted to give us a basis of bearing of 90.
Yeah, you can go ahead and change it up.
East.
Then click calculate, and then apply. And then click close. That did not rotate your parcel. Oh, that's interesting.
It's not gonna rotate it much, but it might have rotated it a little bit.
Just 1 degree, right? Or less.
Oh, that's fine.
Doug's very particular, so 1 degree is huge.
I am a stickler.
For demonstration purposes, I thought you'd do a 90-degree turn. But
That probably would have been more effective.
That's a surveyor for you.
yeah,
Exactly.
fine, very fine.
I worked with a lot of
When
surveyors.
you said larger text, I was going to say, why? He's a surveyor. It's already plenty big.
That's why they're unique you know,
Now,
intelligent set of people.
with that being said,
I'm sorry,
So
Yeah.
Ash. So
What
now
kind of
once
edits?
there's our change right there.
he found it. Bam, boom, bam, and we're at 1 and 1. Our scale is at 1 and 1. Yeah.
Cash, quick question.
Actual
So
error.
once you have this, once you have this basis of bearing, so is that, let's say, that's changing your rotation so that it aligns with the current or with the existing data that's on there, right?
Correct, but it's a temporary thing. So the basis of bearing is like a temporary thing. So it's not a permanent fix.
Okay,
it can help
cool.
you. Yeah, it's just a temporary thing. It doesn't stick. So it's helpful in like guiding you in a way, but it's not like a permanent. It's not going to set your parcel. So even if you were to save the edits, the parcel would snap right back into place. It would just store that basis of bearing there.
In the
So
sense that
Okay.
if you were
So
to
maybe,
subdivide, sorry, go ahead.
well, no, I was just gonna say that. So maybe next time we have the well, I guess do we have another training session after this?
Yes.
There's another one scheduled.
Yes,
yeah, I'm
we
sure.
do
Tuesday.
have
Oh, okay.
two more sessions at least. One, and both of them are for quality control, but our plan is to continue with this workflows till you're comfortable with the workflows, right? And then after that, we'll show you topology and the data reviewer. We'll try to see if we need to add one more session, we will add that.
Okay.
But we want to make sure that you are able to edit at the end of all of this training. We want to make sure that you're able to edit your
Okay.
production data.
Yeah, just asking because let's say next time we meet, maybe we should start with this basis of bearing and actually put in like a few lines from this subdivision to see if it actually works
Yeah.
the way that we're proposing. You know, that works.
That's a good idea.
What Eswin and I will do on Monday is we'll set aside a couple hours to open up this file and start drafting like we would draft in our old system, and obviously get some questions for you guys for Tuesday, and we'll split this first line in like we would and see if we can get a traverse back into here.
Yeah.
The hard part is going to be with that drafting style is the starting and the ending point. Although we have the distances to come down and start at a point here and then continue around and end at that same point. We can always do that. But then, and that's just going to be a floating thing. We'll play with it on Monday morning for sure.
Yeah, because Monday afternoon is the training. So what we can do is we've sent you the document also, and the document actually there's a couple of things I would just wanted to make sure that you were able to review the editor guide. That's one thing. The
Okay.
other thing also is that there was a parcel fabric tutorial that was sent to you along with like all the general editing stuff. You may have it on that videos folder on the M drive. I wonder if you got a chance to look at, go through that tutorial.
Nope. On the M drive under videos, cadastral review. No.
Yeah, can I see that for a second? I can tell you. I didn't see that folder. Not the not the CADME videos, but there was something where we sent you from DCSC. Can you go to from? Yeah. As retraining. Yeah, and in that, yeah, get started with parcel fabric editing. Okay, so these are some tutorials. There's also tutorial data somewhere, I believe. Otherwise, that data will kind of be like yours, but not 100%. So something to think of. But just take a look at those tutorials.
Okay,
As
perfect.
training parcel fabric.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can open up one of them. These are like the very basics of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So take a look at this, and then there is that exercises, but you can always complete the exercises like next week or so. But be sure to go over that basic information. If I find any other tutorials or things that you can watch in order to, speed up your training, then we'll send that to you as well. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Cash,
Excellent.
anything else you want to add right now?
No, not at this moment. I think it was a good session. I learned a lot about how you guys work with your data, so I think that was really helpful. The annotations, everything was very helpful to understand from your side of the fence, how your data is maintained.
Yeah, and the city of Riverside is pretty unique in that, because the way it was set up before, originally drafted in, kind of got us ahead of the curve on a lot of stuff, and so ways that other people would start their GIS, we kind of got to fall in line with what is existing as we're stuffing stuff into lots that are, and there aren't a whole lot of lots left to subdivide.
Yeah.
So
kinda,
Monday afternoon is our training, not Tuesdays. I just want to let you know. Monday afternoon, 1 p.m. again.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
And I hope that maybe people will leave room, because we said 1 to 4, but if we can go on until 5, I'm just asking if that's a
Yeah, that shouldn't be a
possibility. And we'll give you some break next time. Sorry about today's, just, we were running short on time, so we just want to make sure.
No,
So,
that was good. We did a lot. We got a lot accomplished today.
Okay,
was
then.
Ed
Thank
was
you,
the
Harita.
hawk
Thanks,
today.
Cash.
Thanks, guys. It was great. I enjoyed the session, and I'm looking forward to Monday. So we'll have a great Monday, and yeah, we'll have fun. We'll have more fun.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye, guys. Have a good
Okay,
weekend.
thank you, everyone. Okay, bye-bye.
I
Bye.